Hi friends, today I want to talk about gardening. Yes, it is still classified as winter. However, it is time to start thinking about gardening. There's a lot of people on social media showing that they are starting their seeds already, and it's so much fun to watch. But for somebody who's not experienced in gardening, they may start feeling like they're falling behind. If you live in a northern state, you are not falling behind, okay? Here in Montana, I cannot get a garden into the ground till probably about the second week of June. Sometimes I could probably get away with it around Memorial Day. Most times I like to be safe and just try to aim for Father's Day. Have it completely done by Father's Day, and then we're good to go. So today I want to talk about how you start a garden and different seed types and just very beginner basics of a garden. So I'm Cece. Obviously I live in Montana. My husband and I homestead, and let's talk all things gardening today. Okay, so first things first, what do you want to eat out of your garden? A lot of people think they need to start a garden, they need to do enough to preserve, can, freeze dry, however you're going to preserve your food. What happens then though is you can get very overwhelmed halfway through the season or even towards the end of the season. I struggle with this too. In the springtime, the weather's beautiful, I want to get outside, I'm like, let's do a huge garden, let's just do it all. And then about August, the weeds start to come up really hard and I'm falling behind. And then the end of August into September, all of a sudden I have so much food that is ready to be picked and I need to do something with it, and I'm running out of energy, I'm running out of steam. I also have other summer activities happening. So please, if it's your first time gardening, don't go big, okay? Just keep it manageable. And for some of you, that may be 1 or 2 raised garden beds. Some of you, that may be 5-gallon buckets. That's okay. That's okay. So, got kids running around. I'm out here in my sun porch. The other thing is what are you going to eat? Okay? I would love to plant squash. Squash is something that preserves really easy, but I'm the only one who'll eat squash in my family, so I'm not going to take up that space by planting squash. Broccoli is another thing that I struggle. Like with garden broccoli, it gets really strong, gets the worms and all of it. So most years I don't bother with broccoli, just don't. So figure out what are things that you are going to eat. Green beans do really well, so I plant a lot of green beans and I can a lot of green beans. But peas, pretty much just plan on eating them fresh out of the garden, because once again, that is a vegetable that you need a ton of before you can start preserving anything worthwhile. Root vegetables are another thing that tends to go really well in the colder climates. You don't have to worry about frost as much with a root vegetable, and you can also leave them in the ground for quite a while longer, pretty much until the ground starts to get potentially frozen, and then it's time to get your root vegetables out. Some places actually recommend you leave your root vegetables in the ground over the winter time. In northern climates, that doesn't work. Okay, that doesn't work. So think about that. Think about what are foods that your family is going to actually want to eat, actually enjoy eating, whether it's raw, whether it's cooked, preserved, and maybe you don't know, so just try a few little things and see what your family likes. The next step is finding out what actually grows in your climate. Now, like I said, for us here in northern Montana, or in the northern part of the country in Montana, we live in South Central, but it is still we live right up next to some mountains, and so my growing season is about 70 days. Like I said, about the middle of June, and then we've had 2 feet of snow by the second week of September before. It's a gamble. We never know. We never know when that last frost is going to hit, whether it's going to be the end of May, whether it's going to be the middle of June, and we don't know when we're going to get that first snowstorm. So I normally figure that I have about 70 days. So when I go look for seeds, I look for very fast, short growing seeds. Spinach is normally like a 45-day. Lettuce is also like a 45-day. But the green beans that I do, I think they're about a 60, 62 days. Now that's when like the first one will be ripe. And then you probably have about 2 weeks until that plant is completely done. So you got to give it a little bit extra time. So I try to stay closer to that 60 days because then I know I've got about 2 weeks after that until the plant is considered done. So think about that. If you have no idea when to plant, ask your neighbors, ask around. You can even go to your county extension office. It varies very much so when you live in northern climates, depending on your elevation, depending on if you're around a lot of trees, up in the mountains, you know, or are you down by the river, that kind of a thing. Ask around, ask around. Most people will let you know when they put a garden in. In some years, it's a complete gamble and you're just guessing and you have to replant half your garden 2 weeks later. Done, been there. Like, that's okay. Okay? The last thing I want to talk about is different seed types. There's basically 2 seed types. You can either get an heirloom or a hybrid. And really, both of them are fantastic. Hybrids are really nice sometimes because there are certain types of plants that are more prone to attracting worms, attracting diseases, rotting before they're completely ripe. It's just like certain genetics just tend to have a weakness. So if you cross it with another plant that is disease hardy, doesn't collect the worms, you end up getting a really nice plant. And those are fantastic. And if you have no desire whatsoever to ever collect seeds yourself, hybrids are the way to go. Doesn't matter. Most places aren't going to let you know if it's a hybrid or not. Some places will let you know if it's an heirloom or not. Heirloom is whatever seeds that plant produces is what you're going to get the next year. So for an example, okay, these peas are little Marvel. If I plant these, I'm going to get little Marvel. I'm not going to get a cross. This corn is a very short growing corn. I have a green bean in here. I believe they're Blue Lake. I could be wrong, but these green beans do really well in Montana. And so that's what I get. I have some cilantro. So I enjoy doing heirloom because I enjoy collecting my own seeds for the next year. However, there are some that it doesn't matter, okay? Some seeds will tell you if they're heirloom, some will not. So this is probably something that I picked up at like an Ace. And it actually tells me right here that it's heirloom. I also know the brand and I knew this was an heirloom. This one again will tell me that it is heirloom, but it is from that same company. However, this one, I have absolutely no idea if this is heirloom or not. I don't really care. I'm going to plant it and I'll use it, and I may save the seeds, I may not. Right here, date to maturity, 65 days. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Pay attention to your growing. It will tell you. Most of the seeds that I buy from is from Baker Creek. There's mixed reviews. Most people love them, but not everybody. And if you buy from them, you are getting only heirloom. Back here, it tells me when they will start to sprout, whether it needs full sun. I don't think on this actual seed packet, it tells me when they are mature. I believe that is found on their website. Let me see. No, these do not tell me the maturity rate. I think you have to find those all online. So there are multiple places you can go to to find seeds. This is just one place that I order from. I believe Johnny's is another company that offers a lot of heirloom. I've heard really good things about them. But like I said, if you're not interested in the extra work at the end of your growing season, which by then, if you ask a gardener, they're pretty much done with their garden by the end of the growing season. They do not want to mess with anything more. And so sometimes it is a very big struggle for me to be like, I'm going to go outside and save a bunch of seeds. But if you ever are interested in saving seeds, you have to do the heirloom. Just FYI, store these in your freezer along with any other unopened seeds or even opened seeds. Store them in your freezer. They will last for a lot longer than what the expiration date says on them, at least with heirloom. Hybrids, I would still store them in the freezer. So if you're gonna garden this year, I would love to hear from you. I'm not a gardening expert. I've had people ask me what to do to help with their soil or what plants grow good in certain soils. I don't know. I don't. I just pretty much wing my garden every year. I throw some poop on it from the corral and hope it goes well. There are tons and tons of different types of gardening techniques. I do mine in the ground and I till, but there's a lot of information coming out about no tilling. There's a lot of information about coming out on really good raised garden beds. Do what works best for you, okay? There's not a right or wrong way to garden. Just do what works for you, what is manageable for you, what your family is going to eat, and take it slow, because you can grow and learn. I'm still growing and learning every year I do my garden, and I've been doing it for a lot of years now. You just kind of try it out. If you live in the northern climate like I do, you're probably going to need a greenhouse. So one of these days I will take you out and show you my greenhouse. It's something very simple that my husband has made. And here in the next week or two, I will probably start some seeds ahead of time. Peppers are one that I cannot find a 60-day maturity rate. Peppers take a very long time to grow. So if you find a plant that you really want to plant and it's like 100-day maturity, you're gonna have to start it inside early from seed. So I will show you that in the upcoming weeks. Just more what I'm doing to prepare a garden. But yeah, I would love to know, are you gonna do a garden this year? Is this your first time doing a garden? Where did you buy seeds from? I would love to know where other people buy seeds from. Are you doing heirloom? Are you doing hybrids? Or are you just gonna be like, I'm gonna go to my local Tractor Supply, Murdoch's, wherever, and I'm just gonna buy seeds? Totally okay. Do it. Just start somewhere. So until next week, I hope you guys have a great one. And if you're enjoying some spring weather, enjoy it for us, because it is still very much winter.